terms of courts. And we will start with El Dorado at this point. I believe that some representatives of El Dorado are here. And I believe we have Judge Kingsbury and others with us, and we welcome you here today.
Good morning, Justice Hill and members of the committee. I'm here with my incoming Assistant Presiding Judge, Vicki Ashworth, our Court Executive Officer, Tanya Ugrin-Capobianco, and our Assistant Court Executive Officer, Jackie Davenport. This is not the first time that I've appeared before you. Hopefully it'll be a little less dramatic than the last time, but I've been the presiding judge of our court since 1999, and I've been fighting to get a new facility for the western end of our county since 1999. Our old historic courthouse on Main Street in Placerville is over 100 years old. It was built at a time when our county had citizens roughly in the low five figures. We are now inching toward $200,000. We have within our county on the western slope 4 separate court facilities within approximately 12 miles, which makes us, from our perspective, operationally inefficient in terms of court users having access to our facilities, and it also makes us very, very spread out. It's confusing to the public. Now, if you can go to the first slide, we have had significant problems with threats against judges and staff. The photograph on the right, and forgive my pejorative here, says "rest in piss." And it's got an assortment of people, including my name. This is an inmate who's currently in custody, and it's on a tombstone. On the right, there's a criminal protective order. Judge Ashworth was the duty judge and was asked to issue a search warrant in an animal abuse case. And the agents went out there, notified, because it was sort of a civil thing, notified the person that they would be serving the search warrant on Monday. And over the weekend, this was on a Friday, this person was found in a firearms store in Placer County acting suspiciously, and she was in the process of purchasing a weapon so that she could kill Judge Ashworth, thus the criminal protective order. Next slide. This building, we've had one of our facilities transfer to the state. We have 2 mixed-use buildings which cannot transfer. The other 2, my facility in South Lake Tahoe and the Main Street Courthouse, are both level 5 seismically. The building has so many hazardous issues that the Judicial Council, frankly, wouldn't touch it. The county really doesn't want it either. Next slide. We have lead in our water system. You cannot drink the water. Our fire and life safety systems, including the sprinklers, exit signs, emergency lighting, are out of date or out of compliance. The building is full of asbestos. It had a major overhaul back in the latter part of the 1990s, and we physically had to vacate the building, and they had workers in hazmat suits, and you can't put anything up on the walls, and we have constant problems with people with respiratory ailments. We have limited or inadequate accessibility for the disabled. We've been sued many, many times. I think I've told you at a prior session, we had in this building, there's a little teeny courthouse, which you'll see, or courtroom, which you'll see a picture of on the bottom floor. On the main floor is the family law courtroom where Judge Ashworth presides, and then upstairs we have 2 courtrooms that are accessible for juries. And we had a disabled litigant who needed to have her court hearing held, and the elevator didn't work. And so she was carried by 2 bailiffs up the stairs so that she could go to court. I mean, imagine the indignity. We've had many claims against the court for slips and falls on the staircases. The HVAC system is completely inadequate. There is 0 parking for the public. Our jurors have to park some distance away. They get ferried in on a bus. We have quite, since realignment, quite a problem with auto burglaries, and so people who park at these remote sites come back and find that vehicles have been vandalized or even stolen at $15 a day for jury fees. Next slide. So the front access area is very small. It's about 800 square feet. It's divided by a stairwell, which you'll see. It's deficient for services because the family law court is there. You can imagine that there are warring factions who are in very close proximity to one another. Fights tend to break out regularly. We do our family law mediation downstairs in the basement. There's no security presence down there whatsoever. The ground level of this the building is rife with windows. The ground level building has windows all around. That's where our family law courtroom is. That's where one of our extra courtrooms are. We've had some high-profile trials where we've actually had snipers from the sheriff's department stationed on top of the district attorney's office and on the freeway overpass, which is only about 100 feet away, because there's a direct line of sight into the courtroom from that location. And if you recall, some years ago, there was a judge who was shot in Reno with that very same thing, where there was a line of sight into his courtroom from, in that case, a parking structure. Our Main Street facility has no jury parking. As I've said, they have to park remotely. We have 0 holding cells. Our jurors are stashed either in the courtroom or in the jury room. We have no place for the attorneys to meet to confer with their clients. So this is our Main Street clerk's counter on the main floor. It looks kind of nice, but it's immediately adjacent to the entryway. There's no protection whatsoever for the clerk's staff. In order to make it ADA compliant, we lowered the counter, but anybody could hurdle over that counter and be right into the back portion where our employees work. Next slide. So this is the main level that I've spoken about. The family law courtroom is there to your right. The clerk's office that we just showed you is behind. So we have litigants congregating there. Stairwell is very close. The security desk is on the other side, and so they have some limited sight distance in terms of their ability to see what's going on. So this is Judge Ashworth's courtroom. It's lovely. It has a nice post in it. You can see all the windows that are at the parking lot level. Next slide. This is what we call Department X. It's our overflow courtroom. It's down in the basement. It has exactly 12 seats. I've actually, as an attorney, tried a jury trial there. We had to pick the jury someplace else and came down there. The heating and cooling is so terrible. I had kind of a smelly client, and in the middle of closing argument, I passed out from the smell. So and there, if you can see in the middle there, there's actually an access door that goes right out to the parking lot that we can't close off because of fire regulations. So this is some of our jurors arriving on the bus. They're going to the main part of the courthouse where they would check in. On this day, it's just a little bit cloudy, but they have to be out there in the snow and the rain. There's no protection whatsoever from the elements.
Judge Kingsbury, does the family law courtroom double as your jury assembly room?
We have no jury assembly rooms anywhere in our county. The jurors assemble in the stairwells in that little 800 square foot facility, and then you'll see an area upstairs. I've actually been on jury duty in this courthouse, and it's amazing. So this is the entryway where they come through. Next slide. And then this is upstairs where the jurors congregate, and they're actually checking in here. This is about 700 square feet. And if you'll see in the back, you can see the elevator, and that's where they're bringing up the in-custody defendants. If we have juveniles who are charged and they're in our court because they're maybe being charged as adults, they also would come through there. This is also where we have victims and witnesses who are waiting to testify, and so the encounters, as you might imagine, can be pretty alarming and heated. Next. Now this just shows one inmate, but like everybody here, you know, we'll have the chain gang full of inmates, and they're going into the public elevator. They park down at the bottom, and we'll have a photo of that. Directly behind that inmate is one of the jury rooms, and that's typically where they're stashed while they're waiting. But the sheriff's department has issues because a lot of these folks have different security clearances, and so they have to bring them over in shifts, which also makes our court proceedings less efficient. So this is the lovely rear of the building. If someone is disabled, And if they need to access our courthouse, and hopefully the elevator is working, they actually have to go down there. It's on the basement level. The security people have to come from the second floor to let them in. Because these doors are access for disabled people to get in with a wheelchair or a walker or what have you, they're very slow. And so if there's not somebody there monitoring the comings and goings, it would be very easy for somebody to slip in. They do have sight from a video, but no physical presence. Next. This is our elevator. It just went out of service on the 9th. Quit working with a bailiff inside. We found some contraband taped underneath the handrail there on the right. That elevator actually was out of commission for at least 3 months. They don't make parts anymore for this elevator, and they had to manufacture them. And so for 3 months, we had to relocate cases where people had disabilities. But that, we also have employees who have disabilities. I was in a walker for quite some period of time and wasn't sure I'd be able to walk. And I can, as a judge, get into the courtrooms because they all have steps to go onto the bench. Next. So this is the back area that you can see behind the van is the area where folks will come through to have ADA access. That's also where the judges park. So the inmates are coming in at the same place that the judges and the employees are also coming in. In the evening, when there's no security presence, the judges are out there with full exposure to Highway 50. I've actually been accosted there in the parking lot myself, and I know many of our judges work late into the evening. Next. So this shows just another side of the ground floor windows. This is through an alleyway. So if somebody were to do something there, there's not much visibility in terms of what they're doing. And we also don't have camera capability out there. I had somebody hit and run my car and thought I'd be able to figure out who did it, but I was advised that we don't have any filming out in that area. So this is the highway overpass that I talked about. It's 100 feet. Direct line of sight into one of our courtrooms. We also have a lot of freeway traffic out there, and we have ambulances and motorcycles where you just have to stop the proceedings because you can't hear anything. Go ahead. So building C is our mixed-use building. It's where our court administration is. There's 0 perimeter security at the main entrance. The area where we store our court files is a shared area with other county agencies, and so anybody literally would have access to those files. We don't have much space for records. We have 2 holding cells, which you'll see photographs of them in a moment. We have a very small lobby outside the courtroom. There's no places for attorneys to meet. We don't do jury trials there, and there's no secure parking. Next. So that's the main entrance to this building, and you just walk in. And then this is the shared area where we're commingled with county employees. Same thing, shared area. And then this is our one security. The courthouse is down in the courtroom is down in the basement, and this is the security checkpoint for them. These are our holding cells. We have 2. They're extraordinarily small. Imagine the size of a small bathroom in your home and cut it in half, and that's about the size of it. The toilets often don't work, and so they have to have the inmates use what are staff toilets if they need to go to the restroom, which you can imagine the staff is delighted with. And because of the small size and these are the only holding cells we have in the whole county, and because of their small size and because of inmate classification, which I think everybody has wrestled with realignment, you're getting a lot more high-level, high-risk people. We have to bring people over in shifts, and we can have 20 to 40 people on any given day that they have to shuttle through those holding cells. Cameron Park, that's the one facility that we own. It's actually not a bad facility. It has limited parking. There's no jury assembly room. We use that for civil proceedings. There's no holding cells. If we send a criminal trial there, if we have an in-custody defendant, we have some issues in terms of managing that individual. There's fencing which isn't secure around the modular building, and the parking is not secure. And then once the bailiff leaves, I mean, it's off the road, it's fairly remote, and our judge who works there actually carries a gun because he's concerned about coming and going before and after hours. So this is that facility. It looks pretty large there, but it's only about 700 square feet. It's pretty small. And then this is looking toward the clerk's office. This is where we have self-help workspace as well as where the public comes in. This is the unsecure fencing that I talked about. This is a modular unit that we use for ADR, small claims, unlawful detainers, those kinds of things. They have to go through the main security checkpoint and then transition over into that building, but it wouldn't be difficult for somebody to hurdle over that fence. And then this is our civil file room there. You can see we're pretty jammed. Go ahead, next. And this is Department 8. This is also a shared use space with our juvenile hall that we were able to horse trade the county with. Very small checkpoint area, very small area where families and children wait. We do juvenile dependency, delinquency, and probate there. Our juvenile kids that are in custody, they actually have to hold them in the hallway there, and this is staff offices right next to that. Okay, is that it? Any comments from anybody? Judge Ashworth, do you want to?
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for hearing from us. I know that we're all in the same boat, if you will. One of the things that I would also like to point out, because it was brought up about ADA as well as security, and working in the Main Street Courthouse, I can see it every single day. And one of the major concerns is our service to the public, which is why we're all here. We're here to serve everybody in our community, and the way that we're doing business right now is not an efficient way to do business. If somebody comes into our Main Street Courthouse and they're requesting, say, a restraining order, perhaps they're there, but they don't have the requisite relationship. So they might be asking for a restraining order. We have to send them down to Cameron Park, which may not seem like a long distance. It's about 15 miles. But we're expecting our public to come on their lunch hours because we have decreased hours for clerk windows because of cuts that we're still experiencing. And so right now, we're not giving the public and our community what they deserve, which is a safe, secure, and efficient courthouse. The other thing that concerns me, because I do see it, again, on a daily basis in family law, is when we have people that are going down for CCRC, for their mediation on child custody cases. The parents are sitting downstairs, and in that downstairs area, outside of our small Department 6, is where you get the elevator. Well, we're expecting our families to sit in an extremely small area on a very contentious matter, and there is no safety, there's no security down there. We regularly have people that get into tiffs that requires us to actually step off of the bench to have our security respond to that location because of those security concerns. But the other thing is that we have children that are also waiting to see the mediator and to speak with them, while we also have in custody inmates that are coming in for their court appearance. So all around, it's not only the security of staff and the people that are working in each of these courthouses, but really it's a security concern for the public that we're there to serve and to keep safe. And right now that's not being done, nor is the efficiency being met for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both very much. Thank you all for attending, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Thank you.